Well, we drove 670 miles yesterday heading to Lake Cherokee in Morristown, Tennessee for the FLW tournament. We have got 250 miles to go, so we're going to get there this afternoon in pretty good time, I think, and be able to get everything set up. Got some brand new rod and reels, got to wind some line on, get ready for tomorrow. You know, it's kind of difficult to plan a plan of attack for Cherokee. We've talked to absolutely no one. We haven't looked at any kind of reports at all. We probably will kind of look at some of the local fishing reports and see what they might have been catching them on. But this time of the year is changing so much with the changing weather that you know, you got to just kind of play it by ear out there every day. But here's what I got planned. The last time we fished Cherokee was like back in the late 70s or early 80s. I mean, like 40 years ago or more. And it was horrible. I think it's the worst tournament BASS ever had. Took about 15 pounds to win, and that's a 3-day tournament with 300 people fishing. So it's really was a tough lake. But now I understand it's much better now. The Tennessee Wildlife Department has done an outstanding job in really getting that lake right, and it's got a lot of big smallmouth in it. In fact, you know, I wouldn't be surprised much. Smallmouth's not a huge part of the catch there. We'll learn a little bit more after we get on the water tomorrow. But what I plan on doing, because this is the second week in April, and the fish are going to be moving up to the shallow waters. I expect them smallmouth to be up in 2 or 3 foot of water, maybe no deeper than 10 foot of water. Largemouth will probably be moving to the same places largemouth always move to this time of the year. North shorelines, tail ends of creeks, pea gravel, stuff like that. I would assume, being in Tennessee in the mountains, that there's a lot of gravel and rock in that lake. I can't remember from 40 years back what the thing's like. I just remember I didn't catch hardly anything. But I will probably be using a lot of little jig and worm combinations. You know what I want to. We got second place in a BASS tournament like Washita years and years ago, using a little tiny jig with about a 3-inch piece of worm on it, and like a little bluegill or brim hook in it, and a little tiny jig, a jig and worm. Nowadays they call that well, some people might call it a small shaky head, some people call it a Ned rig. But it's a jig and worm is what it is, and we use, you know, been using them ever since we were teenagers. But we'll probably use, you know, some of that. Now they call a mushroom head jig. That's another thing they call them, mushroom head. But they've got 3 or 4 names for them now. They're just the same old bait we used, you know, 100 years ago. But I got second place in that tournament, fishing down by the dam in real clear water, fishing from about 2 or 3 foot down to about 15 foot. Those are largemouth, not smallmouth. But I probably will use that technique a lot. I'll probably spend the first day down around the dam, within maybe from the dam, maybe 5 miles away from the dam, something like that. And then we'll let that day determine what goes on. You know, depending on what we do there, we may concentrate down in that area. We may run way up the river and see if we can get up there and get some spinnerbait bass for largemouth and spinnerbaits. We'll probably throw some and wake some big bladed spinnerbaits down around that dam, see if we get those smallmouth to come up and crash those. If it's clear water, like I think it will be, you know, they'll come up from 8 or 10 foot and hit a spinnerbait right up on top of the water. Probably been doing some jerkbaiting also. Use a little jerkbait, and that's kind of my thoughts going in. Obviously, we may be totally different than that when we get there, but I'm excited about Cherokee. Of course, you know, had a good year so far, sitting up high in the standings. Did good the last tournament. Really had a real good shot at getting in the top 10 at Grand. So you're always excited when you're doing well, and I'm excited about this tournament, even though I had a horrible tournament the only time I've been on Cherokee. Can't wait to get there and get out there in the morning. We'll see y'all on the water. Maybe another little 14.5 inchers. Seems like we got a lot of 14.5 inchers here. What do you think, 14.5?
Maybe not even that long.
Huh?
May not even have a half.
Thank you. May not even have a half, huh? Try 15.5. Ha 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 ha. You have a hard time. You have a hard time with inches, don't you? That fish was talk about on the bank. I mean, that baby doll was right on the bank. I mean, right on the bank. Here, it's a spot. It's only got to be 12 inches on a spot, so that is a keeper right there. Now, he's not going to weigh much, but he's a keeper. It is bright and early, second morning of practice at Lake Cherokee for the last, what is this? It'll be the 5th FLW tournament this year. And well, it's not bright and early, it's early and foggy, very foggy. You look out across the lake and it's just as foggy as it can possibly be. We were just right out, there's a big fish jumped right off the point. We just fished back there, he's out. A lot of stripers in this lake. Some of those fish we see jumping are stripers. The first day, you know, I don't know, we talked to my buddy Scott Martin. He said he put his hands on about 5 keepers, but he thinks he had about 15 keepers bite. We talked to another guy yesterday morning. We only had caught 1 fish, and he had caught 6. So obviously the fish are biting. I ended up catching 9 fish yesterday. Holy cow, did you see that? I don't know what that was right there. Good gosh. Big old striper would grab my RC sticks. I'd have a battle going for sure, wouldn't I? But I caught nine bass. The majority of them came on a Jimmy Houston Legend spinnerbait. I did catch some on that little swimming minnow on an 1/8 ounce jig head. Caught a couple smallmouth on it and a couple largemouth. But of my 9 fish, I only had 4 keepers. I had a keeper smallmouth, I had a keeper spot, which only had to be 12 inches, and I had also 2 keeper largemouth. Biggest largemouth only about 3.5 pounds. So it's, you know, it wasn't a great day of practice, but not bad. You know, I stayed within about 3 or 4 miles of the dam up there. We are actually putting in about 6 or 7 miles down from the dam, so we're further down than we fished at all yesterday, with the exception of Panther Creek, which is where we're putting in. But hopefully we'll be able to find a few today. I'm going to concentrate a lot on tail ends, but I'm also going to fish out, because the largest fish I caught yesterday was out in these, what we call elephant rocks. Now this is kind of big broken chunk rock, big chunk rock. Well, there's some rocks that we call kind of I call elephant rocks. I have no idea what they call them here. But there's all different kinds of rocks, and a lot of just pea gravel. You see a lot of guys just fishing pea gravel banks. That's where I caught the smallmouth, was just on a bare bank. It's just pea gravel, and that's it. And swimming that little minnow bait on a spinning rod. So we're going to be trying a lot of things still, but I've been doing quite a bit of jerking. I've jerked all the way down one bank this morning, hadn't had a bite. The jerkbait bite ought to be good too, but the deal is, if you catch the bass, largemouth up shallow, they're going to be super shallow. I mean, they're going to be like in a foot of water or less, some of them. The big 3-pounder I caught yesterday was right in between 2 of those big elephant rocks, just as far up as you could get it. I mean, he wasn't but inches away from dry land. So the lake is down low, you can see it's falling, but we're going to have a fun day out here today. He might be a keeper, I don't know. Oh yeah, he's a keeper, isn't he? Wouldn't you say?
I think so.
Think so? Well, he's easy 15 inches long. We're up here in an area where there's an awful lot of logs and stuff and trees laying in the water, but they're not in the water because the water's gone. Let's measure these fish and see what we got. I think he's easy. I think he's 16 or 17 inches. He's way over 16. Nice fish. At the very end of this bucket. Dead center. He was out in about 3 foot of water. He was right in the dead center. This actually ought to be a pattern we probably going to end up running in the tournament. And might not even worry about spots. We'll see what we find up here, but this is one of those situations where a lot of people are going to be doing this. This is not necessarily a secret type deal to find out. And it's unlikely that you'll be able to find a spot. It's unlikely that you'll be able to find a spot where you can find a bunch of fish. You don't find say a pocket like this right here and catch 8 or 10 fish out of it. That's probably not going to happen. And so what you're probably going to have to do is run and fish, run and fish. And you might end up fishing right behind somebody. You might fish water where somebody just caught the fish out of and you don't have an opportunity. But then again, because of the time of the year and the water warming and the fish needing to spawn on these next 2 moons, they're going to be coming in here looking around, and you might fish 15 minutes after somebody and a fish pull up in at a spot like that right there, and you catch that fish. So you just got to keep after it. What you got to figure out is if you're going to catch them, it's worthwhile fishing down the bank with jerk baits or crankbaits or swim bait that I caught a couple on yesterday, or if you want to just go pound the end. You'll just go to an end, go to an end, go to an end, go to an end. And that might be the deal too. You just have to, so far, the majority of the fish have come in the very ends. It acted like it wanted to come up. But now don't act like it wants to come up. I don't think it's a bass. Big, something probably big catfish. Man, this is big. This is no largemouth bass. It's moving awful fast. It might be a star or something, but it might be a big smallmouth. Big giant smallmouth.
Smallmouth carp.
Look at that. Look at that smallmouth. Looky there. Wow. Wow. I got a bite here just a second ago.
I think it's a drum.
And missed it.
No, it's not. It's a smallmouth.
Kind of small. Yeah. You'll let it come off. It's okay, smallmouth. I don't really care now. There's no telling how many people has fished this bank. And I turned around and throwed back through there again because I had I missed one there. That's nice right there. That is very, very nice. Yeah, that's a really good fish right there. Looky there. Now, 5 of those like that would be in really good shape. That's what I call brown sugar. Goodbye, baby. Boy, you talk about load up on that jerkbait. It's that little RC Sticks. It's a clown color. We used to catch a lot of fish on clown color. Don't really fish that color that much anymore. You know, I sort of was paralleling that bank, but I was out pretty far away because I'd turned around. I might need to do that a little bit more, throw out in front of the boat. Might get in a little closer and throw out in front. Boy, I'm telling you, that is something when one of those big smallmouth loads up on that jerkbait. Eee, that's 4 today. I might catch a little. 2 on a jerkbait, 2 on a spinnerbait. That's another big old smallmouth right there, about another 4-pounder. So I caught 2 4s and 3 on that RC Sticks, and then plus a 3 and a 2 on a spinnerbait earlier this morning. So that's 16 pounds. And we didn't get that fish up out of the water. Chris just back here and got it because obviously there's another boat right there. That boat saw us catch the fish. There's not anything we can do about that. But you know, I caught a catfish off that point right back there a second ago, and on my swimming minnow. And you never know, that guy might have thought that was a catfish. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. I mean,
he just moved over to the next point out of courtesy.
He moved over to the next point after we caught that fish. But it's a lot of fun to catch that fish. Boy, they are strong. Man. It is day 3 of practice. Chris and I've been out here a couple hours already, and I've had 1 bite on the spinnerbait underneath the boat dock. I had my hooks bent down, and my clown RC Sticks, I've opened the hooks back up. After I caught those 3 big smallmouth on it yesterday, 2 4s and a 3, I turned my hooks back down, bent them all down. You can see one of the cones kind of messed up still, but I opened a couple, 2 or 3 of them up just to. I'm not sure if I'm getting bites or not. I had a couple bites yesterday evening. I thought that I wasn't really sure, and it could be that these fish are normally on that jerk bait. They'll get that bait when it stops, like right there. See, it's suspended down and stopped. And it could be that they're grabbing a hold of that bait and it's hard while it stops, spitting it out, and I don't even know it because I think I've had a couple of bites, but I'm not sure. I thought I'd get just those jarring strikes on it because that's what happened to those 3 big fish I caught. But it may be that they're grabbing that thing when it's set, and they turn around and take off. That may be the jarring strike that I hear. And they grab a hold of it and there's no hook, they're not hooked, they spit it back out. And they can't spit it out, of course, once they clamp down with all those hooks. So, but I'm gonna leave my hooks bent down on my spinnerbait. We're gonna try something today a little bit differently, particularly when the sun gets up. We're gonna try to move down to some little small jigging worms, little bitty stuff, and see if we can't get some bites. Well, I'm just not getting many bites. It scares me to death. You know, I had 16 pounds yesterday, which is great. I'm pretty sure 16 pounds a day will put you way, way high in the tournament. But I only had 5 bites. and that I only caught 5 fish. I had a couple bites on the spinnerbait when it's turned down, maybe a couple on my jerkbait when it's turned down. So I opened up those hooks on that jerkbait. I hate to catch them, but they are big smallmouth, and they're roaming around back in these pockets and out on the points, and so it probably doesn't matter whether you catch them or not, really. But I got my barb smashed down, so maybe they'll get on, maybe they'll get off if they get on. But at least I know that I got a bite. I gotta know that I've got a bite. I'll get the boat dock. I better fish that boat dock. Bigger one, that's the way pretty good, wouldn't it? Nothing looks like they're skinny.
Was he long enough?
Yeah.
I thought he was.
It is 7:51. I have 11 minutes left to practice. I just caught one about 3 pounds. It's been a really hard day for me. I'm just so frustrated. I can't stand it. I had some mechanical problems today. A sensor go out on my trolling motor, but it's great that it went out today, and I learned something, which I'm going to share that tip pretty quickly on all my social media, because it's a great tip that I learned when you have a sensor go out on an Ultrex, which I'm the first time I've ever had a problem with one in 2 years, but I learned a really neat deal there. But I got that fixed. I lost about 2.5 hours of fishing, but I only caught 4 keepers today. That's all. And again, I've had quality, not quite the quality that my limit was yesterday. But listen, I've got friends that are just smoking them. I mean, they're just killing them. We're catching, 15, 20 fish a day, and I'm catching 4 or 5. I don't know what the deal is, but of course that's all you can weigh in. But if I could catch 15, I could probably call out a pretty good limit. But I'm just going to go fish really hard. I don't really have a lot of really great spots, but I've got places where I think I can catch fish. So we'll see what happens. That's 3 days of practice. 4 keepers, 5 keepers, 4 keepers. And now we're down to 8 plus 2, 10 minutes. See you later, guys and gals. We are getting ready. We're really early. We're getting ready to launch here for the second day of the Cherokee Lake Tournament. We are really, really early. No doubt about that. In fact, I'm going to pull over here just a second so we can complete what we're talking about here this morning. Yesterday was a disaster. It was one of those dreaded days that we just didn't really want to have. I made a statement here the other day that of the 9 tournament days I participated in this year, including the 3 at Grand Lake last couple weeks ago, that I had, I'm going to try to pull over here and get out of people's way for a second, that I had been in the money 8 of the 9 tournament days, and I was proud of that, and I was bragging a little bit about it. But that pride is a sin and humility is a virtue, and I definitely had a little pride there in being proud that I'd been in the money 8 out of the 9 days. One of those cost me a check the day I wasn't in the money, but this tournament fishing's got a way of really bringing you back in a hurry. It humbles you quickly. 170 people in the tournament. Only 60 of them are going to make a check, so 110 are going to fail to get the money here this week. I'm not saying I'm out of the money, but I'm in 142nd place. Only caught 4 bass that weighed 9.7 that I brought in. I caught several non-keepers. I did bring in 5 fish limit, but one of the fish was ruled a meanmouth, which is a hybrid spotted bass and not a pure spotted bass. And so that fish was called for my stringer, and so my 4 only weighed 9.7. But and I'm a full 4 pounds and 12 ounces out of the money right now. So obviously one more fish would have got me really, really close. But since they're catching so many fish, 14 pounds and 3 ounces is in the money. So they're catching so many fish. That's a pretty high number for 60th place. It's going to be really difficult to get in the money. Obviously a 4 or 5 pounder yesterday would have had me right there, but I didn't catch that 4 or 5 pounder. But it's going to be a different day out here today. We've got a chance of rain. We're going to have some cloud cover. Hopefully have a little bit more wind. It's dead calm right now. A little bit more wind might help. I had that late flight yesterday, and so I started down here close. I'm going to run down the lake and just change the day around totally, completely. Caught 3 yesterday on a spinnerbait, the fish I weighed in, 1 on a Monsieur jig. My buddy Tommy Monsour's in 6th or 7th place, and he caught 17 pounds. Throwed that bait all day long. He made a couple of them especially for me, gave them to me, and I caught my first fish on it. I was lifting a spot, a good keeper spot, over the side of the boat, and it fell in. It was a pure spot, easy to tell. And it fell off and hit the side of the boat and didn't land in the boat. And so that fish there would have given me a limit also. But it's a new day. Happy to be out here trying. It's a difficult day. You know, I had the hardest night last night that I've had in years, probably in tournament fishing. I could not sleep. You know, of course, we stopped at the chicken place, and I drank a big Diet Mountain Dew plus 3 big tall cups of tea, and then got home and drank a 1.5 big Coke, so Diet Coke Zeros. So, you know, I filled myself up with caffeine. That didn't help, but it was like, went to bed at 9 o'clock after midnight before I finally went to sleep. Woke up at 3 o'clock and couldn't go back to sleep, and it's just terrible. You know, I had a couple hours sleep to 3, maybe at the max. But I was so concerned and worried about doing so poorly, and actually having a day where it's all but impossible to get in the money. I need like probably at least 19 pounds to get in the money today. Nobody caught 19 pounds yesterday, but it is doable. I had a big strike in practice where I caught a couple smallmouth over 4 one day, a largemouth over 4 that same day, and a couple 3-pound, other 3-pound fish, a spot and a largemouth. So that day right there was been like 18 pounds. So that's pretty close. One more bigger fish, and I made it. They do catch 7 and 8 pound fish out of Lake Cherokee, so it's really possible to do it. And I'm just going to be believing that it'll happen. But it's highly unlikely. But the highly unlikely happens every single day in these tournaments. Absolutely no doubt about it. And I'm just praying it's going to be happening to me today. Catch you later, guys and gals.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Thank you, Lord.
Give me a look there.
That don't play.
There you go.
Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. That's more fun than starting baby chickens.
Yes, bud.
It did pay off back here, didn't it?
Yes, sir. Good job.
What's your number, Chuck? What's your number? 13. 12. What's y'all's number?
What number 12? All right, I got you. What number 13?
Right there, he's got Tommy sitting in 6th place. Red. 6 or 7, something like that. How fat that spot is, he's not 12 inches long. Look how fat he is. He is 12 inches long.
Is he?
Oh, you little tiny rat.
There it is. Last place. That no hell. He looks like a fish. Here, I need you to picture that. Oh, don't do that. Just a second. There we go. Got it. Text that one to me. Alright. Give me some. Good job.
Hey guys and girls, it is top 30 day here at the FLW tournament at Lake Cherokee, and as you notice, that's not my Ranger bass boat. This is my Ram truck. and I am not in the top 30. Obviously, that's pretty easy to see. It's starting to rain out here at Lake Cherokee right now. Great day for fishing. The guys, I'm sure, are smoking them out there. Absolutely smoking them. Top 30 fishermen. But let me tell you, I made a huge comeback on the last day. Without a doubt, a huge comeback on that last day. Caught 5 bass, weighed a tad over 14 pounds. Obviously, if I had it the first day, I would be out there fishing today. Absolutely, no doubt about that. Would have made it easily. But the first day, only 4 fish, and I brought in 5. Had one that was considered a mean mouth as opposed to a spot. So my 4 fish only weighed 9 pounds 7 ounces, which was, I really thought they weighed more than that. But anyway, the second day, and I still brought in 1 spot. If I'd have caught another one of those 3 or 4 pound spots that, no, I keep saying spot, smallmouth. If I'd have caught another one of those 3 or 4 pound smallmouth there at the end of the day, I had 5 bites. 5 bites the last hour on a swim bait that actually, I tell you, Tyler Stewart, my buddy from down in Monroe, Louisiana, gave me a couple of those baits and said, Jimmy, they're biting this really good. Gave them to me, and I went over on a great point that I had. Got 5 big smallmouth, all between 3 and 4 pounds. Lost the first 2, boated 1, lost another one, boated the last one, the biggest smallmouth of the day I had, as a matter of fact. And that's what got me up to 14 pounds. But if I had just boated one of those other ones, I might have been out there fishing today. It was just that close. For sure would have made a good check. But anyway, we're here working. The Expo is a good tournament, a lot of pounds, but there's a lot of people beat me. That's just all there is to it. Anytime you catch 14 pounds, it's a good way to end the tournament because you feel a little bit better about that miserable first day. But that's tournament fishing. At this level, when they're biting any at all, just about everybody's going to catch a limit every day. I was 1 fish short that first day. Cost me big time.